the Bad Batch episode 11, Devil's Deal. You either love this episode, like you absolutely love this episode so much, or you don't like it at all and you almost want to fall asleep. That is what this episode's going to be, because it all depends on one thing. Did you watch Star Wars Rebels? I have mentioned multiple times before that I actually really liked Star Wars Rebels. It's another really amazing story from Dave Filoni in Star Wars animation. Now, of course, it was at the time, it was made at the time when the Clone Wars was canceled, and they brought in a whole new series, so it made everyone really not like Star Wars Rebels, and some people don't like how the show just was formatted and how maybe it felt a little bit more childish. I don't know. But some people really don't like that series, and some people just haven't even given it a shot. I honestly don't know. But if you haven't given it a shot, I recommend it. I really do recommend it. The later seasons get really amazing. The first one is, I guess, a little harder to, get started, but it's a good show. I definitely recommend it, and you're going to have to watch Star Wars Rebels to really feel something for the latest Bad Batch episode. And I loved it. I really loved this episode. I think it was really amazing, and I liked the characters that they brought in. So obviously, they brought in Star Wars Rebels characters. So the episode mostly focuses on Ryloth and the Twi'leks rather than the Bad Batch. The Bad Batch actually play a very small part in this episode. They almost hardly show up, and I'm okay with it because I watch Star Wars Rebels and I'm a fan of those characters in Star Wars Rebels. But if you're not, and this is like a new character introduction to you, you might hate this episode because it hardly focuses on the Bad Batch themselves, and it focuses on this whole other side family and random characters. So the episode, I'm just going to get right to it here. The episode starts out with Ryloth. The Empire's obviously there now to do what they did in like the last one, and they're there to kind of take control. And we run into the Syndulla family, Cham Syndulla and Hera's mother, who looks a lot like Hera Syndulla, obviously. So she really looks like her mother here, but this is her mother. And they are being occupied by the Empire, because that's what most of these planets are now getting. They're getting controlled by the Empire now, and we get introduced to this, I would assume, new clone. I don't think I've seen him in the Clone Wars before. He's a newer clone commander. I don't necessarily remember his name at this current moment, but he's a pretty cool character because of some certain things later in the episode. But pretty interesting to see this clone commander here in this show. Moving on, of course, here's the senator. I don't remember his name either. I know I'm forgetting names right now. He's in this now because, he represents Ryloth. So he's obviously going to be in this when, the Empire is coming to the planet. And obviously the planet really supports Cham Syndulla over the senator. So they end up having Cham praise the Empire and say, this is a great thing that the Empire is here to, bring order and peace to Ryloth or whatever, even though he doesn't really believe it. He's really skeptical, and later that we obviously know in Star Wars Rebels, he's fighting against the Empire. So yeah, and then we cut to this. Hera Syndulla and Chopper, or C-110P is the official name of the droid from Star Wars Rebels. These two characters right here are main cast members for Star Wars Rebels. And again, if you love Star Wars Rebels, you love this episode. You have to love this episode almost. It is a full backstory almost of Hera and how she wants to become a pilot. And yeah, Chopper's back as well in his glory, and yeah, it's pretty cool. So we jump to Hera, and she's out on her own, dreaming of being a pilot. Of course, that we see her later on in Rebels, where she's a great pilot. And then we jump back to Cham Syndulla. Hera's back now. They went and found her. The clones went and found her, brought her back to the family. She was wandering off or whatever, and the Empire obviously did not like that. And here is the first instance where this clone commander is actually feeling empathetic towards Hera and the Syndulla family. The clones don't really feel this way anymore. They're not supposed to feel this way anymore. But for some reason, this guy right here, this clone, is, he's a little nicer. He's a little nicer. He's a little nicer than the other clones. The other clones have become super mean now. You've seen this throughout the Bad Batch now. They're stormtroopers essentially that can aim better, I guess. I don't know. But this guy, although he's following orders through the Empire still, he seems wary, you know. He's not necessarily obeying orders on command, you know, immediately with no question. He's questioning some things, which is really interesting. If you're under the control of the chip, you shouldn't be questioning like the Empire and their orders. So I think this is going to be explored later with this character, because obviously we'll get to the end of the episode here and we'll explain why we'll probably see this character again. We get some scenes with Hera and her mother and how they don't like her wandering off. We see Gobi again. I actually do remember his name, but he was from Star Wars Rebels as well, and he fights along with Cham Syndulla, so they have some debates over the Empire and whatever else. We do see Crosshair again, so we do see actually a lot of Crosshair in this one, so that's pretty good. He looks better than I thought he would. You know, his head is shaved now. He shaved his hair, and he's got like the scar or wound on the side of his head, but that's it. Like, he looked a lot worse at the end of the episode, a few episodes back, but it looks like, you know, he got healed up pretty quickly there, and he looks pretty good. He really does look pretty good, and he seems fine. He's going around, you know, doing his duty again, and it doesn't really seem like it's affected him besides that wound on the side of his head. That's it. So I really thought he would have been affected more, but he wasn't. So I guess that's cool, because I really wanted to see more Crosshair. Later in the episode, Hera goes along with Gobi to go meet up with another group of people to go and get some weapons, because the Empire confiscated all their weapons, and obviously Gobi wants to fight. And that's kind of the whole premise of, you know, Cham Syndulla and his little crew. They want to fight the Empire. They're joining the rebellion. And Hera goes along with them, of course, because he says she can fly. And then they end up on this, like, moon, or, you know, this separate moon from Ryloth. And it looks really cool. The visuals in this scene are amazing. Like, this shot right here is absolutely beautiful. It just looks so, so cool. Then we see the other entity that comes in. They meet up with them. It's the Bad Batch, obviously. You got to have the Bad Batch in the Bad Batch. Like, you got to have them in the show, obviously. I mean, it's their show. So this is it. This is really the only place that we see the Bad Batch in this episode. They don't play a large role at all. The only role they play is delivering weapons to the Twi'leks, and that's it. They just deliver weapons because Sid sent them, and that's it. So apparently they're still doing things for Sid. I don't know why. Sid is the last person I want to even be involved in the story anymore. I'm kind of tired of her. The last episode kind of hinted that we wouldn't see her anymore, and we are. I don't know why, but the visuals, I got this screenshot right here. Look at the visuals in the Bad Batch. Okay, this has got to be better than the Clone Wars Season 7. I don't know. It just has to be. I mean, this is absolutely stunning. Okay, this show looks amazing. Like, even if it's a terrible episode and you don't like the episodes, you cannot deny how visually appealing and stunning this show is. They're doing a great job. They really, really are. So Hera ends up going onto the Bad Batch's ship, meeting Omega, and they talk about things and Omega's little story, and Hera wanting to be a pilot, and how she hasn't actually, you know, flown anything or really been a pilot yet, but she's going to be a pilot, and we obviously know she will be. It was really cool to see Omega and Hera interact, these two characters. You know, this new character that we've been introduced to, and then this older character now that we have known for quite some time. And, you know, it's cool to see these worlds collide in a way, these two characters and these shows and whatever. The stories connecting are really cool. And then we get to the end of their interaction. I mean, they got the weapons from the Bad Batch delivered them, and that's it. Like, that's literally the Bad Batch's role in this episode. I mean, they don't have another role in the rest of the episode. We go back to focusing on Ryloth and the Syndulla family and whatever. So the Bad Batch were there just to deliver some weapons, and I guess that's the only gripe that I guess I could have with the whole episode, honestly, because I really liked it. But it definitely needed more Bad Batch, because this is literally the Bad Batch. It definitely could have had more. I did have Crosshair, though. I will give them that. But it definitely could have benefited from a lot more of the Bad Batch. I don't know why they kind of just sidelined them to deliver some weapons, and that's it. Going back to the Ryloth storyline, they make it back to the planet, of course, and then they get captured by the Empire because Crosshair had actually tracked their ship, and the Empire arrests them. Chopper and Hera's parents, they find out about the whole thing, and then they go to obviously figure out the whole situation, deal with the situation, get Hera back because Hera's been, you know, arrested by the Empire, taken in by the Empire. essentially, Cham Syndulla, he ends up chasing down their transport or whatever because he's, I guess that's that good. And he gets them out of the ship, out of the transport, and demands for Hera. And he's had enough with the Senator. The Senator keeps trying to go with the Empire. He's sick of the Senator. He points his blaster at the Senator. And then here we go again with this clone, where this clone commander, where he's being empathetic. He's like, no, he's trying to warn Cham Syndulla to think about his actions. You know, he's having second thoughts. He's thinking like, don't do this, don't do this. Normally, I don't think the clones care. The clones don't care anymore. That's the thing about the whole Order 66 and the chips. They haven't cared anymore. The clones are pretty cold now, but this clone isn't. So I feel like we're going to see him again. It's interesting what they've set up for him, and there's something up with his chip. There's definitely something up with his chip. Does he have it out already? Could he be pretending and just kind of going along with things for now? I don't know. I really, really don't know. But this character in particular is very interesting. Probably one of the most interesting things in the episode storyline-wise. You know, going forward, what to see with the whole clone thing. The end of the episode ends with the Senator actually getting killed. So they kill him off in this episode. Crosshair actually blasts him, and he's dead. He's got to be dead. So, I mean, yeah, he's gone. And the end of the episode essentially ends with them all arrested. The Empire takes in Cham Syndulla and Hera's mother, and then Hera is off with Chopper, and they escape from the Empire, and they're now running from the Empire. And that's how the episode ends. So the storyline didn't get resolved. That means we are going to continue and pick this storyline right back up from next week, most likely, which means I would assume the Bad Batch are going to get involved and actually help out Hera, probably, because if the Bad Batch don't get involved, what's the point of this, right? It's the Bad Batch's story, and it's like a two-parter, which is pretty interesting. Those 3 episodes that kind of went off of each other a few weeks back, that's the closest we had to, like, you know, a 2-3-parter, and it looks like we're getting that again. So we're kind of entering this arc thing with like the Clone Wars had. Now we're getting some arcs in the Bad Batch, which is pretty interesting. So I don't know how long this arc will go on in the Bad Batch with the whole Ryloth thing, but it is interesting. I really love the characters that they now have in the show. I did not expect to see Hera or Ryloth at all in the Bad Batch. Like, this is the least expected thing ever. Honestly, I did not expect to see these characters, but I really love that they're trying to establish Rebels more importantly, because I really do think it's quite an amazing story, and I feel like it's a quite important story. I don't know. It's a really good story. Not important, but it's a really amazing story. Definitely go check out Star Wars Rebels, guys. You know, get over the animation style. A lot of people complain about that. It's okay. It's not bad. You know, it's just different. You know, it's definitely not as high quality as the Bad Batch or Clone Wars, but it tells the story well, and these characters are really worth watching. If you don't want to watch Rebels, that's okay too, but this episode definitely relied heavily on Star Wars Rebels characters, and that's what it was. There was hardly any Bad Batch, but I personally loved it. Really good episode. I know why some people might not like it. I loved it.